Welcome to Inside Major League Pickleball Playoff Preview Edition. I'm Will Daughton, joined by three-time Major League Pickleball winning General Manager Dave Fleming. Dave, 11 weeks, 11 events around the country, and we finally made it to the postseason. What a ride it has been.
It's been amazing. I love the fact that we had home teams. We saw that throughout the year, getting advantages of all those crowds, wanting and willing teams to win, and then ultimately, shock and awe. They reel in the flash at the end, and they get the regular season championship. But guess what? That's not what they're playing for.
They're playing for a season championship here into the playoffs. We'll take a look now at the team standings. As we know, the top 10 teams at the premier level advance to the postseason. St. Louis, of course, at the top there, then followed by the defending champions, the Dallas Flash. Then all the way there at number 10, the final spot, going to the Miami Pickleball Club. It really came down to their Dreambreaker victory over the Chicago Slice at MLP Salt Lake City. So triumph for Miami, heartbreak for Chicago.
Yes, Chicago would probably be the most disappointing squad for the year because before the last event that Miami played, out goes Millie Rain, out goes Noe Cliff. You're like, well, there's no way they're going to hold on to that spot, and they barely did. They don't have a great record, but guess what? Everybody's 0-0, and the Slice have to make a decision about what they're going to do. They invested. They had to start from scratch with 4 players. It looked like a team that would work. They made the midseason Viv for Viv trade, and that didn't put them over the finish line. So a lot to discuss in Chicago, but they will not be playing.
And let's look at some of the players, the standout players that kind of made these top teams so good. Looking at Georgia Johnson and Hayden Patriquin, Georgia Johnson finished atop of the premier player standings, 51-7 record overall, 27-2 alongside her brother J.W. Johnson in mixed doubles. I mean, we knew she was great in MLP in 2024, but has only built on that this year, Dave.
She has. Her middle name's Freaking. I mean, come on. And what I love about her is she took the confidence of the win. Confetti rains down on the Flash, and she was unbelievable. And here's the thing. Anna Lee Waters doesn't like being second at anything, but she ended up just behind Georgia in the individual player rankings. But again, all of them will trade that for a title.
And we've also got to give a shout out to Hayden Patriquin, 50-7. He and Gabe Tardio go 27-2 for the St. Louis Shock. And man, especially in his home St. Louis event, he goes 10-0 for the Shock. I mean, we knew he was great. You know, there's all this talk. He was taken, in around 21st overall in the 2024 draft, and now he's playing like he should be a lottery pick. I mean, it's an awesome progression to see there for one of the young stars that we see on St. Louis.
Yeah, and I love the fact in men's doubles, he's playing the left, he's been playing the right, primarily on the Carvana PPA Tour, and he has the perfect personality, not just for the Shock, but for MLP as a whole, and obviously, the top seeds are the favorites going into this, and he is a big reason why.
You got the swagger, just the culture of St. Louis, just really on his back. You just love to see that for Hayden Patriquin. But again, that's all in the regular season. We're now on to the postseason. We have 2 events, one in San Diego, one in New York City. We'll have a full breakdown for you here in this video for how it's all going to work.
Welcome to the MLP Playoffs. After 25 matches per team, stops in 10 cities, only the top teams remain in the hunt for the hardest trophy to win in pro pickleball. The top 10 premier teams qualify. Seeds 7 through 10 kick things off in San Diego with single elimination showdowns. Higher seeds have significant advantages throughout. Round 2 is where the best of 3 match gauntlet begins. The top 4 teams advance to the semifinals in New York City. Only 2 teams will earn a shot in the finals, and only one takes home the title. Everything they fought for comes down to this. Who will be crowned the 2025 MLP champions?
So that's how the postseason works. Now we'll go to our first playoff event in San Diego, August 15th through 17th. We only know 2 of the matchups confirmed at this time, Dave. Starting off with the Texas Rangers taking on the Miami Pickleball Club, the 7 seed versus the 10 seed. We look at this Rangers squad, obviously no Christian Alshon in Salt Lake City. They made the trade for Caitlin Christian earlier this season. They were 3-0 against Miami, but anything can happen in a one-off series in the postseason.
Yeah, and again, where you finish matters. So 7 through 10 don't get the bye into the quarterfinals, but because the Ranchers finished 7th, they got to choose between Utah and Miami, so they chose to play Miami. And I expect Alshon to be back. I know Wyatt Stone played well for them, and I thought they were going to come all the way in and leapfrog, and we're going to have Catherine and Ben Johns and the LA Mad Drops in the play-in, but just held off by a single point. When we say every match matters, it really does, because just the idea that you got to play one more match, and again, those play-ins are not the series we'll talk about later. It's a one-match, get in there and get going. I think Texas is going to be very interesting just from a camaraderie standpoint, and if Alshon plays well in Bristol, and we're filming this as that starts, that could be huge for them.
And you've also got to think, this Texas team probably hasn't hit their peak yet, just with Caitlin Christian and Tina Pizik. They played great in Salt Lake, still kind of adjusting to them. How do Caitlin Christian and Christian Alshon kind of find their stuff in the postseason? So a lot of questions for Texas, but I think it's a huge opportunity for them to potentially find their best stuff late in the season. Yeah. And that's what Ryan DeWidgeon said when I interviewed him in Utah. You want to peak at the right time. And so this is a huge opportunity for Texas to do that. And then for Miami, right? This is a huge experience for Yuta Funamisu, Maya Bowie, some newcomers to MLP this season just to get that postseason experience. And then Jay DeVilliers, he's taken on a lot of responsibility in his matches, and his really, especially in Utah, was really up to the task, had some great individual performances in men's and mixed doubles.
Yeah, we're going to see that crazy little tweener he pulled off as well. If you haven't seen it, check that out.
We'll go to our second play-in matchup. It's the Orlando Squeeze taking on the Utah Black Diamonds. Now, Orlando was kind of left with Utah after Texas picked Miami. This is an interesting matchup. Yes. Orlando won the regular season series 2-1, but when they faced off just under a week ago in Utah, the Black Diamonds 4-0 sweep over Orlando. So, yes, both teams are already in the playoffs at that point, and postseason atmosphere is different, but that one, it can leave a lasting impression for sure.
No doubt, because you have the changes on the ladies' side for both these squads, and you're like, okay, Etta in Utah with the crowd behind him, Elise Jones diving ATPs all over the place. This was the perfect storm for that outcome to happen. I think Utah is a team no one wants to play because we talk about camaraderie. They are tight. They are having fun. Garnett's flying around everywhere with Tui Nation, so I think they are going to play at a level you can expect. Orlando, on the other hand, just seemed to settle into 8th and didn't really move from there, and I don't think that's where you want to settle in when you've got Fed, Dylan, Lacey Schneeman, who didn't play her best down the stretch. In fact, they switched the mixed partners, and I think they'll probably stick that, meaning that Federico likely to keep with Millie Rain, who he played some with in Utah. So you're changing your mixed partners at the end. Again, very talented. I think Orlando's favored, but not by a lot, and we'll see what happens.
And you've got to think, with Lacey and Millie Rain, the new acquisition from Miami that you talked about earlier, Dave, Lacey and Millie were 0-4 in Salt Lake City, and that is, on paper, that is a strong team that should have won a lot of the matches that they lost. So they're going to be looking to find something, obviously, in a must-win match. Yeah. The pressure's going to be on. How are Fed and Millie going to play? Dylan and Lacey still trying to get set as well. And so those are our 2 play-in matchups for San Diego. So the winners of those are going to move on to the second round, again in San Diego, to play one of the top 6 teams. So we'll take a look at those top 6 teams, kind of give you what they need to do to get to New York, starting with the St. Louis Shock. We've talked about this team a good bit. Talked about Hayden Patchquin and Gabe Tardio. Haven't even mentioned Anna Bright and Kate Fakey yet, who have certainly established themselves as one of the top women's doubles pairings in all of Major League Pickleball. But Dave, we talk about Anna Bright as a team captain. What is it that you think she does so well that she needs to continue doing both on and off the court to get this squad to New York?
Well, she's the best captain in MLP for me for a number of reasons. Number one, by her actions, obviously, the way she plays. But then she is able to compartmentalize so well. The minute her match is over, she is fully invested in the guys' match. She is then fully invested in the mix that she is not. And when I say that, it's not just cheerleading. It's what do I need to do on the sideline to help them? What am I recognizing? So that's part of it. I have seen her grab her teammates by the coattail and say, we have got to go now. So she will bring some fire their way. And then just the preparation and the work they do off the court as a team with her leadership is what will inspire them to get there. Now, they were a team that everybody thought would win it last year, and they came up short, didn't even make the final. So they carry a big chip on their shoulder.
And they certainly seem to be peaking at the right time. They've won 11 straight matches after falling to the Dallas Flash in the final of the midseason tournament, avenged that loss. Then they go and sweep who everyone thought was going to be a juggernaut, the LA Mad Drops in Dallas. So on paper, everything going well for this team. We'll see if they can continue to rely on Anna Bright, both with her on-court play and her off-court just support and demeanor for this squad. Then we've got the Dallas Flash as well. The Johnsons, Georgia Johnson and J.W. Johnson, Tyra Black and Augie Ga. I mean, it's just cool, calm, and collected. Yes, there have been some moments, especially on the men's side. J-Dub and Augie haven't they've had some less than stellar results against teams that they probably should beat on paper, but still just as dangerous as ever.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting with these top two as we look to the quarterfinals, we start with St. Louis. They get to pick their opponent. I expect them to pick one of the play-in winners. Then we get to Dallas. Dallas, what do they have? Championship pedigree. Won it in 2024, won the midseason tournament. That matters. And, you know, they didn't finish perfect. They did get caught, but they kept that second spot. So it is going to be wild how tight this is. They're going to be able to draw from their experiences last year. I think they're going to be a handful. They're the second choice for me going into the playoffs. I expect them to get to New York just because of what they've done before. And then it gets very interesting after that.
Speaking of after that, let's go New Jersey Fives in the number 3 spot. Noe Cliff, Will Howes, Annalie Waters, and Megan Nizan, Mari Humberg, and Zane Navratil could find their way into the starting lineup. That's just how deep this team is. And the Noe Cliff trade, it was made a lot of headlines. Zane Navratil staying on as the captain, a lot of respect for him for doing that. His been consummate professional, just dealing with a tough situation. But Noe Cliff, 12-8 so far, playing with Will Howes and Megan Nizan through 2 events. Not bad by any means, but probably not what you're looking for if you've invested as much as New Jersey seems to have invested in him so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this whole arrangement, it got them to 3rd. Now, would Zane have been 12-8 or better? We'll never know. And I couldn't agree more about, you want to talk about showing what a captain needs to do. How hard is that to be told we're bringing somebody in? And that doesn't mean just we think we're better. We think you are going to be watching. That is hard to deal with, but he has dealt with that like a champ. It's all going to come down to how Noe plays in the playoffs here, though. So will he and Will Howes play a little better? Will he and Megan Nizan? And I thought Nizan was terrific. In fact, Nizan and Anna Lee, big Instagram post. We won our last 11 matches together. It looks like a movie poster with the 2 of them. So I think they found the confidence in Megan. She was outrageous in Dallas, played maybe the best I've seen her play. So she is definitely not in that. I'm trying to figure out how to play with the GOAT, Annalie Waters. And Annalie wants this title desperately. The question is do the players around her play well enough, and which ones will be in the lineup may be a thing, because these quarterfinals are best 2 out of 3 series. So if things don't go well in match 1 for them, will they overreact and switch it up or not, they're going to be the home team, so they'll get to choose lineups and matchups. It'll be fascinating.
And with this number 3 team as well, this is where the potential matchups become a big talking point, because if we assume that St. Louis and Dallas go with whoever wins from the playoff round, most people expect that to be Texas and Orlando, at least at this point. That leads with New Jersey. I mean, you're either taking on the Columbus Sliders or the Ben Johns-led LA Mad Drops. I mean, that is not an easy decision. Obviously, New Jersey won 22-20, that epic dream breaker over the Mad Drops. But then you've also got Columbus, who they haven't played since St. Louis, may have fallen a little bit under the radar, but such a very strong team. There's no, it's kind of a lose-lose scenario in terms of playoff opponent at this point, if you're any team, not just New Jersey.
Yeah, so LA is the 6th seed. So if we just did it by the standings and there was no choosing, it would be the 5s versus LA, Ben versus Annalee, part 2. I don't think we're getting that. I can't imagine them signing up for Ben. I know they barely won it in one of the best matches I personally have ever called in all of my pickleball days, but we saw how he played against Dallas. He was absolutely at the height of his power, Ben. The rest of the squad is very good and getting better. So I expect we'll have 5s versus Sliders, and this is no slight at the Sliders. They just don't have a GOAT. They have a very good team, as you mentioned. Leia and Paris, terrific women's partners, and then CJ Klinger and Andre have won a Carvana PPA Tour event together. They haven't played great, though, so I think the 5s will choose that. So then what does that leave us with? Brooklyn, the 4 seed, versus the 6th seed in LA Mad Drops, and I think that's going to be wild. And a lot of people have said, well, wait a minute, wouldn't the 5s actually love to choose Brooklyn? They cannot. So 1 through 4 gets that privilege, if you will, of not being in the group that they could choose.
And speaking of Brooklyn, their roster, Dekel Bar, assuming he's back and healthy, has missed the last 3 or 4 missed over half of the regular season for this Brooklyn team. Got Dekel Bar, Riley Newman, Rachel Rohrbacher, and Jackie Kawamoto. And you have to applaud the resilience from this team. Obviously, Dekel Bar out a lot of the time. Pat Smith not available for a lot of the events as well. So you've got AJ Kohler, super sub, played amazingly in a very tough stretch for this team, especially with Rachel Rohrbacher. They get the hard-fought 4 seed, beating the Columbus Sliders in what was a match for the top 4 seed in St. Louis. And just to know that, potentially you could be facing off, what some people were calling a super team in the Mad Drops. It's a little infuriating, but this Brooklyn team has just continued to play well when it matters, and it's been so impressive to watch.
It has, and the resiliency of the ladies, Jackie and Rachel, have been terrific. If I was to choose a female MVP, Rachel has to be in there with Georgia and Annalee Waters. So just terrific season for her. Dekel is not playing in Bristol. I can't imagine he's 100%, so they're going to have to make a decision about, is he close enough where we want to put Dekel in the lineup? They're going to have to make that decision. So they're going to be slightly wounded, but they've been slightly wounded. The fellas have been in the infirmary all year long. They're used to it. So I think you're going to get Kawamoto versus Kawamoto, but we'll see.
I mean, that would just be awesome, especially in women's doubles as well. Both of these teams so strong. So that's kind of where we're going for these potential quarterfinal matchups. Obviously, anything can happen from even the first 2 play-in rounds, but I mean, so much to look forward to in this postseason, and especially in that first event in San Diego. So then the top 4 teams, the semifinalists, advance to New York, advance to Central Park to close out the season. We'll also have the Challenger teams there as well. So for Challenger, really quickly, all 6 teams make the playoffs. The Las Vegas Night Owls and Nashville Chefs, top 2 seeds get a first-round bye. But we've got to talk about the California Black Bears. Martin Emmerich helps them go undefeated in Salt Lake City. They secure the number 3 seed, which means they get to pick their semifinal opponent, or their quarterfinal opponent, And what a redemption story for Martin Emmerich. I mean, come on, not drafted, spent a lot of time kind of not even really filling in for some teams, just kind of on the bench. And now he goes 7-3 in Salt Lake City, helps California. I mean, just a redemption arc for Martin, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and a very scary stay in the hospital in the middle of that as well. So Marty was in the hospital cheering for his wife, Tammy, wondering what's going on with the Hogs at that point. Now Tammy's actually playing in the playoffs with Miami in a wild twist of events there. And I'm just happy for Martin Emmerich, who I felt deserved to be drafted at the very least, I think, in a challenger starter for sure. And as things worked out, not only that, but he's healthy, he's back in there, and we'll see if he can be the difference. That lefty experience, I love it for him. I think for Challenger as a whole, the question is, the Night Owls sort of knew they were the best. Did they play awesome all year long? No. But did they play well enough to easily hold the number 1 seed? Yes. Was the midseason tournament final unbelievable with them as Brooke Buckner hits the shot heard round Grand Rapids, a forehand winner past Eva Radzikowska after Radzikowska had hit a backhand past her. So that was amazing. So if we get that again in New York, that would be a fun final, but a lot of work for both Las Vegas and Nashville to get there and get the rematch.
And again, the Challenger level champion will earn promotion to the Premier level in 2026. So not just pride on the line, not just money on the line, but that promotion on the line as well for those Challenger squads. And we're going to have a full preview for New York once we see what goes down in San Diego. But Dave, where the heck can we catch all the action from California?
You know we got you on Pickleball TV. I can't wait to be back on the call there. And I think the big thing for me is to see how, once we get to the quarterfinals, how do the teams and the general managers deal with that 2 out of 3 series, what changes are made, and the home teams, which is the higher seed, have a humongous advantage to be able to set the mixed doubles matchups they want. And if we get to the Dream Breaker, and I hope people are gripping their pillow tight because we all want it, they get to set those matchups as well. So it's going to be absolute fire in San Diego.
So much pressure, so much excitement, so much to look forward to in San Diego. But that is going to do it for this edition of Inside Major League Pickleball. For Dave Fleming, I'm Will Daughton. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in California.